The cat was?
Jose was.
Oh.
Good
Good
Cats have their own
morning.
time.
Welcome to the
Hi.
Backpack Show.
Hey.
Cat's
You
acting
imagine-
up today, everybody. I've got
Can
my
you
finger on
imagine-
that button.
If we had that kind of energy, can you imagine how awful this show would be? How zany, you know? Ugh,
It's already fairly zany.
it's zany
and
enough.
We're not that zany. But the Backpack Show is all about bringing you business success insights from unusual places. So who have we got today, Chris?
I am so thrilled to get Jose Castillo on here. Jose and I have gone back from, I don't even know when, probably 2008, 2009, maybe. So around South by Southwest or something, people started saying, you got to meet this guy. And I was like, oh, okay. And usually when that happens, it's never really good. Like never, like you don't want to meet, you don't want to meet him. It's always a letdown, but Jose is the real deal. He's a spicy gentleman. And you know, he's taken that even further. You know, we do weird things where we're locked down. So he painted all kinds of peppers. He has grown all kinds of peppers, and now he's turned all kinds of peppers into salt. We could talk about his business. We could talk about this business. We could ask where that's even going. And then who did you find for today?
Well, I'll tell you, but first I have to say hi to your dad.
Hi, my dad. And
Melvin. Hello. So we'll talk with the founder of Cowitz and Made, a holistic apothecary brand. We'll talk with Arianna Lauren. She's the founder. And the whole point of creating this was to preserve the ancestral knowledge of medicinal plants. And so that we'll talk with her about starting that and about uniting the North and the South in terms of knowledge of ancestral medicines, what she's done there. It's going to be really fun. I want to order many of her things.
You know, then we're going to order away because I have many more needs for peppers and ancestral medicine for when I'm done with the peppers. Maybe I could put some of those salves somewhere.
So red.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
I was just going to say that Arianna is from Vancouver area. Wow. So I know we have a lot of people who'll be really, really excited about that. She grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia, unceded Coast Salish territory.
Oh.
You know where that is. Hello, Mama Brogan.
I went up to Victoria. That's all. That's as close as I got to that hood.
Mr. Pepper, shall we?
Yeah, let's grab our man Jose and bring him on. Oh, right. You know, well, you know, he could get a doctorate. We could work on that. You know, remember we changed one thing around here though, which is we're going to get the ads first. So it's made a difference. By the way, if you're here and we don't know you're here, it's because you didn't comment. So comment like Nancy Ramsey did from Scotland. But here, you should know this. We're sponsored by StreamYard. You can make your own show just like this. You could even have a cat in the background soundtrack, just like I have. Very expensive to get that.
I recommend it. But you know.
cbrogan.me/StreamYard. You can make your own show to upset creatures of the night. Hey authors. Hey
I don't know what that was about.
I don't know. Authors, when you write a book about how much you hate cats, you can put it up on PubSite, pub-site.com. This is amazing. This is a website building tool for authors.
Specifically for authors.
Rocks. Yeah, if you're not an author, forget it.
No, I just mean it has all the pieces built in for you to promote your books and your appearances and stuff like that. Things that you would need as an author. And it's all like plug and play. You just move things around, pick your colors. Stupid easy. So go and try it out. pub-site.com. There's a free 14-day trial. And after that, it's just $19.99 a month.
Made by FSB Associates, the most incredible people in the business.
In the book publicity business for 25 years.
25 years, people of Earth.
They didn't even want to do this. They were like, hey, authors need websites and they're paying like way too much for them. Okay, I guess we'll do this. So.
John mentioned he's in Wisconsin. He's gearing up for a snowstorm. I'm from Maine originally and now live in Massachusetts. The only place I ever had a absolute freezing cold winter experience was in Wisconsin. I thought I would die.
Did you see it's Len Joy's 47th anniversary?
47. Happy
Congratulations.
Anniversary.
One of my favorite authors. Award-winning
Patrick Short is here.
I have to go in order because
you do it. You do your thing. I want you to be happy.
I'm blissfully happy.
Sergeant Pepper. So Jose could join the military. He'd be a sergeant.
Oh, maybe he will.
There's Leslie. Hi, Leslie. And P Short. I play video games with Patrick. P Short.
Nice.
This is gamer tag.
So go get me some pepper.
I'm getting me some pepper. Ready? Jose.
What's up?
How the heck are you, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. It's good to see you guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
John's glad you didn't die of the cold.
It's been a
nice.
minute.
It's a plus for someone running a show with him. Be pretty rough.
If he died? If I died?
Yeah, right? Don't you think it'd be inconvenient?
It could be like a show with Bernie's.
Oh, God.
You know,
it'd be inconvenient for the cat.
Jose, you do a lot of the similar stuff that I do, but better. And one of the things you've done, you speak all over the place, and you've, connected with big companies and done company stuff. What have you been doing throughout the quarantine? Like, what's the pivot for you been like? Because as we're all kind of like hiding out and trying to figure out who we want to be when we grow up, you're in that same boat. What's going on with you?
Well, I'm trying to stay busy, and I think that's what we're all doing, is looking at how do we keep our hands moving and our minds moving, and make sure that we're not staying stale, staying spicy, if you will. And so I've had the opportunity to do some NASCAR stuff, even though we weren't racing and having all the fans at the track. I got to do some virtual things. We got to do some game show stuff, some giveaways from right here in the lovely confines of my office. But I also started branching out into some other creative outlets that I didn't really have the chance to do for my whole life. I come from a family of artists and people who created and built amazing things, and I've never gotten the chance to really delve into some of that. So this year I got to paint more, I got to cook more, I got to do some spice seasoning blend stuff, and it was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed it. I didn't make as much money this year, but I had a lot of fun, and I got to hang out with my family and do some things that I never did before.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, a lot of us didn't quite make our loot, but I got to see you go out skiing and have family snow day and all that sort of thing. I mean, you really packed it in. I want to talk a little bit about the seasoning. Talk a little bit about, now, has this been something you've made in the whale days, and you're just coming back to it, or how'd that come into the world?
Also, your wife is here.
Oh, well, hey there, lovely wife. She's right downstairs, and I'm sure she may burst in here. I don't know. She's jumped in on a couple of my calls before.
You got to keep things spicy.
That's right. And keep me in line too. I started out with the seasoned salt years ago, and I've always loved spicy things. So the brand Spicy and Flavor and my little habanero light bulb and all that has been around since I was a little kid. I grew up with a family who cooked, and we always ate spicy food. And so I've had jalapenos since I was a baby.
Wow.
The seasoned salt came about through a recipe from my mother-in-law. And this was probably 10 years ago. We wanted to do something for our neighbors. So I was Christmas time, everything was slow. So I found this recipe from her, and I made my own seasoned salt, gave it out to all the neighbors. And then like a month later, people started coming back, knocking on the door. Hey, Jose, you got any more of that seasoned salt? And you
get them hooked, and then you start charging, right?
Exactly. And I knew it was something that I had to take to the next level when I had a former friend of mine, ex-fiance, send me a nastygram from like another state saying, hey, if you don't send me seasoned salt, I'm going to come find you. And I was like, okay, you know what?
Hey, your wife downstairs. Watch it with the X talk.
No. My friend's ex-fiance, not mine.
Oh, okay.
I just heard that too.
Get in trouble.
I was like, wow, that's quite the lifestyle he's got.
I mean, how many did you leave in the dust? Sorry, in the seasoned salt.
In the salt. Jose, what do you? So when I think of you, if someone put the gun to my head and says, "What's he do?" I'm like, I don't know, but he's spicy. Like, what's your brand package right now? Who are you, Jose? Who do you go out there and sell yourself to? And is it because it's just the weird times that you have to kind of be everything right now? We're all being everything right now, aren't we?
Spicy.
So I tell people that I'm a host and MC, and that I help people add flavor to events and experiences. And that's my job, whether it's 150,000 fans at a NASCAR race and I'm up on the big screen getting the fans pumped up before the race, or if it's a small group of 5 to 10 people and they want a speaker to come in and help them find out what their unique flavor is. Either one of those groups and all the way in between, I want to bring something special. I want to help people find out what makes them unique. And I want to do things that leave people with a wow taste in their mouth. And that's what I love doing. So whether it's Guinness World Records, all the way to let's just have some fun and find a way to market our new product, I love doing stuff that's spicy. And that's who I want to hang out with, is people like that.
So when you talk about helping people find their flavor, you mean like what differentiates them, or
yes,
like, what does that mean? Okay.
Yeah, and that's it's a great question about what is flavors, because some flavors we don't like, right? There are tastes and things that are palatable to some people and not to others, but it's finding out what makes you unique and how you can leverage that. And I believe that everybody is different. You are the only one that has ever existed in the history of the world exactly like you. And if you've got that unique flavor that's yours, then it's your obligation to share that with the world. So whether you're an individual and you're trying to find out your place in the world, or whether you're a company and you're trying to find out your product, service, how it fits in with the rest of the world, you've got to be unique and you've got to leverage those strengths. And it's finding out what your flavor is and how that separates it from the rest of them.
Can you imagine if there were more of me, Chris?
No. I would like to not imagine that.
Very salty conversation, says Chip.
So I have some Chex Mix that Leslie sent me as a nice flavors of Christmas. I was just curious, do you think that my little spice package here would be delicious in Chex Mix?
Yes, it would.
I think it would be tasty. So I'm sprinkling it all on.
You got to do the.
He's trying it for the first time now. If you don't like it, don't do that live. Yeah, Tessie's saying.
No, what if I ate it? Jose, this tastes like a dog's butthole.
I'm just saying. Salty snowflake.
I already had 2 pizzas covered with this stuff. So, and when I say covered, I did a little trip and fall, and one of my slices was Joserific. Oh,
is that good?
Yeah, he can't fake it, so it's definitely good.
Yeah, I have no poker face with it.
Right, but Chip, that's like when OJ tried the glove on. Like sometimes you don't want to chance it live. Like,
hey, really let's go with it.
Now, what doesn't this spice go on? Because Kip wants to know if he could put some on some chicken.
Oh, dude, everything. And this is literally a seasoned salt. And so it has 12 different herbs and spices, but it's got some peppers from my garden. It's not hot. It's a very mild flavor, but it genuinely goes on anything savory. And I've even had people use it on sweet stuff too.
But you had jalapenos like in your baby food, so I'm not sure you're qualified to decide if it's mild.
Well, let's ask Chris. You like spicy things?
I like spicy things, and it is mild. It is probably a little more than definitely more than like a pickled jalapeno.
Yeah.
It kind of it's smoky enough to be like a chipotle or something. It's got a little bit of smoky bite in it. So there's definitely there's a flavor profile that you would not like dare your friend to eat it. Like it's right. By the way, Leslie, don't shame me. I ate this. I ate your stuff for like 2 meals.
Can you snort it? I wouldn't recommend it.
I'm not going to snort it on screen.
Carol, yeah, can you? That's what's in the spice blend. Do you say, or is it a trade secret?
I won't give away all the secrets, but I will tell you that there's no gluten, no sugar, and it does have a little bit of citrus and a little bit of the heat side, in which you're tasting, which is some dried ancho chilies, which is one of my favorite chilies to use. If you're going through the spice aisle and you're like, man, you just buy the chili powder, that's a blend that is, who knows what kind of chilies are in there. So next time you're looking at chilies and you want to make chili powder, get dried ancho chilies. You can get them at the Mexican market, or you can get it at your local grocery. And that's a good way to kind of bring some more flavor to the party than you would in a traditional chili blend.
Which NASCAR driver are you going to sponsor?
Ooh, actually, we had a NASCAR driver this year, Kaz Gralla, who ran with the Screamin' Hot, and it was a chili ice cream company. And it was such a cool brand to see sponsor a NASCAR driver. And so I got a ton of photos of that. I've even got I'm trying to get the die-cast car for it. And so I love a good spicy NASCAR blend.
Nice. I want to say 2 things about it. One is that if you know anything about Chex Mix, it's pretty addictive. Like you think you're just going to have the one handful and you're not. That's why there's another one just waiting to go in my mouth when it makes sense. 2, when you throw the spice into it like you do, it amps everything. It amplifies all of it. So that's a comment. And now I have a question that has nothing to do with the comment. You also painted the hell out of some chilies. You did some incredible painting work. Do you have any of that right handy enough that you can wiggle some in front of the camera lens?
Let me see here what I've got. I don't have any. I actually took all of it down to co-working space downtown. Yeah, and so I don't have anything right in front of me. But I'll bring
just paint something. We'll wait.
Yeah,
we'll wait.
Like Bob Ross with peppers. I'm here for it.
peppers.
Do you have a base spice that you use that's in most or all of your products? Ask Coach Woodard. Can't speak.
Yeah. Yeah. So Coach, I usually start with kosher salt and fresh ground pepper. And then next are my chilies. And so this spice blend actually has ancho chile and cayenne, which the cayenne peppers I grew in my garden. And that's for me, just kind of the base level spices that I start with. Then you add some herbs, thyme, rosemary, etc. And then a little citrus. So some dried orange peel, dried lemon peel, etc. And then some things for color. So you can do paprika, turmeric, etc. like that. Those are all kind of the ways that I build the recipes up. But, oh, there you go. Look at that. Chris is on it.
There's more than one way to skin that cat.
You just wanted to say that.
I did very much.
Dying to get rid of that cat.
I wonder I didn't think of ancho. I mean, I said chipotle, which is wrong, but it's in sort of the neighborhood of the nice smokier chilies. Yeah. It's I mean, there's a whole world out there. One thought I have about that is that you brought it to everything you've done long before you were doing these paintings, long before you were, making and distributing the salt. Is your plan to keep putting this together out there in some way like that? Are you hoping going forward that you can integrate the full Jose experience in 360-degree Jose, or what's your thought?
So I am a serial entrepreneur. I've started a bunch of different businesses. One of the longest runnings now is Spark Plaza. I've run a co-working space for 11 years now, which is like in dinosaur years. So I love starting things, but the seasoned salt was really out of frustration. I didn't want to have to make more. And so I was like, well, I'm going to sell it for $20 and that way I won't have to keep making it. Well, now I have to make it, at least 4 times a year because it sells out every time I push it out. So I tried to work myself out of a job with that. And so that will keep going just as a side project. But
that's how like FSB Associates didn't want to do websites, Jose, but they had to do pub site.
I know.
Pub site.
It is. And it's, I nice. I like that sliding it in. Which, by the way, my wife just walked in and handed me a stack of some peppers. So.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you, Shannon. I love you.
Thank you, Shannon.
But the pepper thing, I think, is more in my DNA. Like I come from a long line of artists. My whole family is artists. My dad was on America's Got Talent. He was the Sand Story artist that you've probably seen.
Yes.
My grandfather, was the guy who did all the floats and displays in Mexico City. Wow. So, my great aunt is in the Smithsonian. She's an American Smithsonian registered painter and sculptor. So I come from a great line of artists, but I never got a chance to do it. I didn't go to art school. I didn't mess around with it until now. And so it's been fun. This was an experiment, and this was for my own mental health. I needed something to do. And I had been on the road and I was tired. And my wife's like, Jose, you're not yourself. What's going on? You don't have energy to give anymore. And it was because I didn't have a creative outlet. I hadn't been playing music. I hadn't been cooking as much. And so I just started painting a pepper a day. And so I would sit down for 5-10 minutes and I would just, pull out whatever stuff I had and start painting peppers. And so I still do that to this day, which is really kind of fun. So
I knew you did a whole year. Chip says you should make a breakfast product so you can be a serial entrepreneur.
Touchy.
I would like to point out he'd have to make more than one breakfast product to be a serial entrepreneur. I'm just saying.
Well, start with spicy rice checks, go to the spicy corn checks. You'll get there.
Pepper guy.
Karen knows who you are. So, Jose, we're going to put you backstage for a little bit. We're going to invite you back out for a panel if you can stick around. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for catching us up on what's going on in your world.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris and Carrie. Love you guys. Looking forward to the rest of the show.
Don't go away.
Thank you.
Tell your wife not to go away.
Yes, Shannon, stick around. You're going to bring out. We don't have to read ads, so don't anybody get up and go pee. This is yours. You should do a nice.
Fun fact: they say hot peppers can act as an appetite suppressant and boost your metabolism. Meanwhile, Chip says, "Today I'm on fire like my mouth after a Scotch bonnet." Oh dear. And your mom says good morning to Karen, which I think we all should do. So I'm very excited about this. Let's get Arianna out here.
Sure. Here we go.
Good morning.
So help everybody right out the gate.
How are you?
Cow what son made? How bad did I do?
Cowitzen made is the traditional one, right? Cowitzen.
You did really, really well. Yeah, you did really well.
Okay.
But
I've
in
only
so
practiced it ever since you sent it.
in English, it's Cowichan, but the traditional way, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
Cowichan.
Cowichan, yes.
So let's talk about this. How did you get into creating not just a skincare line, but using medicinal plants and herbs and things that you learned about as part of your tribal ancestral heritage?
Well, not to take away from what Jose said, but it was born out of frustration. Just being an Indigenous person, you don't see a lot of representation with skincare or products or fashion or like anything really. So I started creating my own skincare for myself, I think probably back in 2012, kind of adventuring into soaps and things like that. And then I was just given a box of plants, specifically Devil's Club, from a community in Washington State. And they're like, can you make us something with this? I'm like, okay. And the next day I came into, it's actually a college, Northwest Indian College, and I created a line of products to teach how to incorporate traditional plants into everyday skincare. And the same thing, people were like, this is amazing. How can I buy this? And so I had to figure out a way to package, market, and sell that without exploiting my traditional and ancestral plants where I come from.
What's Devil's Club?
It's a little
What
bit
does it do?
different. Different than the average skincare line, that's for sure. So Devil's
What's
Club
Devil's?
is a traditional plant that grows throughout Alaska, BC, and Washington State, and a little bit into Montana. And it's a shrub that is native to Coast Salish people, Northwest Coastal people. And we have been harvesting this since time immemorial to help with pain, arthritis, all sorts of topical issues, as well as skin issues, psoriasis, eczema. But we have also been using it to regulate insulin levels, and diabetics could well use this over, insulin and shots, which is really, really amazing. One plant can pretty much cure everything.
Wow. So you're making an important point. So you want to keep the ancestral knowledge of the medicinal properties alive, but you
Mhm.
also can't make claims that would result in like regulatory bodies finding you for stuff. So how do you do it? Do you
Yep.
say like traditionally we used it for this or
Yeah, I have my FDA disclaimer, and then I have my Cowichan made disclaimer on the FDA disclaimer. So I'm disclaiming the disclaimer, which I'm so surprised nothing has come from that in the 5 years that I've been in business. But it is a traditional plant medicine, and they hold a whole other level of healing benefits than I can even talk about. So there's like also spiritual benefits to these plants, and the FDA has no guidelines for that. So I try to make sure that I'm following what I'm required to say, but also I want people to know how incredibly amazing and powerful these plants are.
earlier this year you were in New Mexico in an effort to unite the North and the South. Can you talk about that?
So there's a traditional teaching throughout all of Indigenous country, so Indian country or First Nations communities. There's kind of a lot of names for us right now. But there's this prophecy called the Eagle and the Condor, and it's uniting the North and the South. And when I first learned of this, it was during a run that happens where they go from Alaska all the way to Argentina. And it's this really beautiful peace and dignity journey. And I just kept hearing about this prophecy, and I was like, there's something that's going to lead me to living somewhere not in British Columbia, not in Washington State. And I just ended up finding my way to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is very random if you come from where I come from. It's like literally picking like on a map out of nowhere and just ending up there. But that is a southwest, and it is an incredibly enchanting place. It's the land of enchantment. And so, yeah, I went down there to live amongst the Pueblo and Navajo communities, as well as the Chicano communities. And I fell in love with that place so much.
So I did a little reading on
I'm
Devil's
trying to bring
Club.
back the medicine from there, but I'm not quite sure how. Sorry about that.
Still working on that?
There may be different ways to
Yeah, I think I'm on a leg.
So I noticed that one of the things you were talking about was collaborating with some of the people in New Mexico, and not necessarily on the medicinal parts of it, but just collaborating in general. Can you talk about a couple of the collaborations you've done?
Oh, I've done collaborations in almost every corner of business. Again, I'm also a serial entrepreneur, so I love to create products that are not just skincare products, that aren't just holistic wellness products. So I've done a huge collaboration with a Canadian clothing company called Reitmans. That was a collaboration to raise funds for a charity of my choice. So we did that over the last year, this 2020 year. And that was probably the best thing to happen to me because I was able to raise $10,000 for the Urban Native Youth Association in Vancouver. And that was just a t-shirt. I just designed a t-shirt with a tattoo design that I really liked, holding plants that come from where I come from. And I also have done a really cool candle collaboration that came out over the holidays with Bethany Yellowtail, an LA-based Indigenous brand that does mostly fashion, but offering these candles was like super amazing because I got to put my twist on something that she would like to offer to her customer base. So it's been a really cool year for collaborations, and those are just like the two favorites. And I don't want to, put any of the other ones and say they're less of my favorite, but these two are really amazing.
Carol's telling us Reitmans is not a small retailer.
Yeah.
So what's
I
on
think
the
they have like
agenda?
over 250 stores.
Wow. So what's on the agenda for 2021?
2021, not much, really. Not much at all. I haven't really been picking up too many opportunities. I think it's just a year of rest. Unlike a lot of businesses during 2020, I was slammed. I think a big shift in culture, especially with people staying at home and, surviving a pandemic, people started realizing that spending their money online on small businesses and keeping us afloat was more important than keeping big box stores afloat. So very lucky of me to be a small business that offered something of an essential product to folks. I have done exceptionally well for myself and have been the busiest I've ever been. So I'm taking 2021 to kind of relax a little bit, get my ground, bearings and everything, and figure out what I want to do long term. Because again, wanting to be a serial entrepreneur, I see many different businesses on the horizon. So
we can still buy stuff though, right? Because I want some stuff. I want to go order
absolutely.
some stuff.
I'm not gonna get rid of the product line. That
Okay.
it's just too good to let go. So that's a forever thing for sure.
Yay, good, because I can't wait. Looking at the comments, so many interesting twists and turns to your journey. A lot of comments on the journey. Love how your journey unfolded. Kip says the four corners calls to me. It all started with an idea.
Beautiful place.
So were you always an entrepreneurial spirit, or was that something you didn't expect for yourself? Like, I feel like some people are born entrepreneurs, some people fall into it because they have no other choice, but what type are you?
No, I was 100% born into it. I think from like really early on was thinking of ways of how to make means for myself, especially being an Indigenous woman. And I didn't really want to fall under working for somebody else under their umbrella and representing other people. But I did that until I was able to gain the skills to start my own business. So first job I ever had as a wholesaler was for my grandma. I started knitting Cowichan style knit scarves and toques and sweaters and slippers, and my grandma would give me $20, take that to her gallery where she sold her product, sell it to them at wholesale price was well over $20. And my stuff was in galleries when I was probably around 7 or 8 years old, along with my sisters and cousins who also knitted for my grandma. So my $20 went, actually I think it was like $2 at the time. But it went a long way for me back then, and I kind of got to learn how to make means for myself very, very young. Yeah.
How did the Instagram you help with this or not help with this? You have quite a following there. You're clearly taking all the types of photos that the typical Instagram influencer would take, but also you're a business person who's running your business. Talk a little bit about that kind of connection.
That's a complete accident. So I had an Instagram account, and thank God for the archive feature, because I have definitely hidden a lot of a lot of historical posts on my Instagram. So I'm a different person, I think, as you grow up. And for me, I'm a millennial, so I grew up with social media apps, and so I started documenting a lot of things very early on. And there's me. Wow. Yeah. So I started documenting a lot of things about my life and my story, my journey, my business, and my surroundings very early on. And I found that people really responded with a personal page that was kind of peppered in with a business page. And for me, I didn't want to tell just a story about a business or just a story about an Indigenous girl. I wanted to show my kind of my lifestyle and everything around me. And that has, gained me quite a few followers. I'm really grateful for all of those amazing people that follow me. I'm super outspoken. It might not show on camera, but I'm super outspoken. I have a lot of opinions, and I just throw it out there. And a lot of people either love it or hate it, but either way, they're engaging with me and finding things, that they didn't know. And that's why I follow a lot of amazing people on Instagram as well. It's because you want to engage with the things that are interesting to you. So I try to be interesting as much as possible, and hopefully the filters make me look a lot cooler than I actually am.
I don't know anybody with a lot of opinions.
That was an accident. I actually didn't know. Look.
No.
No, me neither.
Who'd have thunk it? I did a little bit of reading up on the land of Devil's Club, and it's interesting because there's so much you can't say about it. Like there was a study that says this might actually help with tuberculosis, and it's a medically approved study. It's a real deal study. It isn't like some nice tribal person on the side of the road said it. You know what I mean? Like, which is their argument for how you
That's
can't.
a borderline yellow card. Watch that.
No, it's not. That's my point.
They like a pale yellow card.
That's my point. I'm saying they would talk down to an insult, Indigenous people. So I'm saying that tribal person on the side of the road can't say that.
All right, I'll let it stand.
My point.
Watch yourself.
So I say this all the time. Indigenous people, or people who come from the earth, which is every single human being on the planet comes from the earth. Why wouldn't we think that plant medicine would be the number one thing to help us survive? Like, we are here after generations of, living off of plants. So I think it's so funny. It's just like, we're like, we got blinders on. We're like, nope. Pfizer or, all of these other brands are more important than this plant that literally does grow on the roadside. So I'm definitely that person that's down there in the dirt being like, hey, did you know what this plant does? And it's just literally something growing out of gravel in somebody's driveway. And they give me the look and they're like, oh my God, like crazy plant lady. But it's so like every single human being comes from plants. Why wouldn't we think that they could do something for us?
Chip says we need a pale yellow flag like your shirt. Oh, Chip.
Like
I break it out one time and I try a new shirt and I get made fun of. So,
stop it. Chips make fun of everybody.
That's very true. So the Devil's Club, though, I mean, it grows crazy over there. They're calling it sort of akin to a ginseng, even though there's a lot of chemical differences to a ginseng.
A cousin.
Right.
Yeah,
sure.
It's definitely a really interesting cousin version of it. Yeah. A little bit more aggressive than ginseng. I think ginseng is probably like the nice cousin that you want to invite, the cool cousin. Devil's Club is, most people walk by it and they're like, I absolutely hate that plant. And everybody that I've ever taught about Devil's Club has had an aggressive experience with it because it is completely covered in thorns and spikes or whatever you want to call them. And they're not pleasant at all. But that's anything that's kind of, good and amazing in the world is always covered with something abrasive, in my opinion. So I kind of take the Devil's Club approach to life. And
you shut up over there.
Super powerful.
See him looking at me.
I don't know. Good thing
you settle down. But it's just why people should go and buy from Coats and Made, because that work has all been done.
Well, I'm going to grab me up one attractive gentleman who makes peppery things and put him back in the story as well. We're going to have a little panel.
Maybe there'll be a collaboration.
What's up, Jose?
I'm in.
I mean,
hello.
It's exciting.
Well, Arianna says she's slowing down for 2021, so maybe you could jump in and make some indigenous medicines. Why not?
Let's go together. I'm in. Let's make spicy things happen.
Like some kind of body scrub or something.
In.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Take my money.
I did not know this when we were talking to Jose earlier, so I apologize for kind of double back, but you can actually buy that salt. I didn't mean to be hogging it to myself. So
you're fine.
You can go to thinkjose.com/salt and get your own damn salt. Don't ask me for mine. So, and it goes a while.
That about things to be abrasive on the outside and then
that's right.
Really good for you on the inside.
That's right. I'm telling Arianna I'm good on the inside.
Then you're looking at me like it was me, and then you go and say that. So whatever.
I think
one.
Devil's Club and capsaicin together in a sugar scrub. Like I'm in it. Let's go.
Oh,
There
I
you
need
go.
this.
I mean, it must make a good, like, if it's got thorns and stuff in it, it's got to be a good, like, abrasive-y, scrub your body clean. Did you ever try that? The old Devil's Club body wash?
Oh my goodness. That'll be something else. You could just take the Devil's Club right out of the bush. Give it a go. Let me know how it goes. Send me photos or don't send me photos. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe don't.
Let's see how it goes. Do you see Chip said, I was scrambling to turn my camera on when you said you were going to add an attractive guy to the stream.
Oh, Chip-tastical. What you both have definitely paved your own paths. You've gone your own ways, and it's a question I ask a lot. What makes you decide this as opposed to doing any old normal human person job? And then also, how do you give advice about that? So I don't know, Jose, start with you. What made you pick all the hardest, weirdest jobs you could ever have? And then what kind of advice would you give to, Joselito, the little, 14-year-old version of you who wants to do this?
I think it's one of those things where you find out pretty early, and a lot of us, myself included, it was watching our family, watching our fathers, our mothers, our grandfathers, our grandmothers, our great aunts, and seeing it played out in life where we're like, oh, well, that's how life is. You go out and you find something you want to do and you do it really well and you work hard and you make something dramatically different and you use your skills to help other people and pave your own way. And I think for me, that was seeing it modeled by everybody else. But you also find those folks that know in their heart, they may not see it modeled by their family, but they're like, man, this is just not working. I either don't like working for somebody else or don't like being told what to do. And I think that's where you find your own flavor. And finding your flavor means looking at your history, but it also means looking at where you want to go. Where do you want to be? Why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most important question you can ask yourself when you start to go down the entrepreneurial path is, why are you doing this? Is it for money? Is it, to have a better life for your family? Is it to make a difference in the world? And if you can't answer that question, then you probably shouldn't step out into that world. The second thing I would say is, for somebody who's doing multiple things, is always have multiple plans, because the first one's not going to happen. The second one may not happen, the third one, etc. I think I'm on business number 12 or 13 now. And, my hitting percentage is not over 50. So you want to make sure
volume.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would say those two things are important. Know your why and ask what is it about your own flavor that makes you unique, and then know that you're going to do multiple things and keep trying, get back up.
Arianna, what about you?
Like, how do you not say same? Like, the same exact reason. I wanted to do something with my life that just modeled a good lifestyle for kids where I come from. I come from a really, really small community on Vancouver Island, less than 5,000 people. And I remember watching TV growing up and saying, like, I would love to be on that, but how is like a tiny little girl from this tiny little tribe going to find their way out? And, I've had so many beautiful opportunities present themselves to me. So I've kind of just like added them to my tool belt and found ways to make that a business. And again, I'm probably going to be starting a few other businesses in my lifetime. This one is definitely the foundation for who I am, because it incorporates every bit of who I want to be and where I come from and who I want to model for the next generation. But everything that we do as Indigenous people is always for the people that come after us and honoring the people that came before us. So I'm just trying to make my grandma proud. I'm just trying to make my niece or my nephew proud. And at the end of the day, if I'm able to sustain a living from that, that's the biggest blessing. So I'm really grateful for what I do, and I'm always full of gratitude, but it's just carrying these things forward for other people. So hopefully somebody from Cowichan tribes, where I come from, or the Coast Salish Nation, becomes inspired by my small business and wants to create that. Because I think the more businesses that pop up that are mom and pop, that are entrepreneurial based, that aren't, these big box kind of things, I think will change culture. And I think that's beautiful.
One of your taglines is "Be a good ancestor." And that's something I
Yeah,
think
I have
a lot
that
of us
right here.
don't think enough about it. Oh, there it is. Love it. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are very much living for today and being like, everything else is someone else's problem, but that's the wrong attitude to have.
So we have 2 more things to do before we kick this show
I
out the door and
agree.
go away again. We have to pick our person of the day, and we have to ask the backpack question. Now, the backpack question, in case I forgot to ask you this before, is what one thing do you want to add to the backpack? So everything's crazy. Life is different. We don't know what's next. We can only carry a few things in our little backpack. You can add either one physical item or one metaphorical item. I'm going to ask you what to add in a minute. But first, we're going to do our person of the day. Let's start with it.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
I don't remember if we gave Kip Meacham person of the day, but he needs one today. He was very participatory. It's very
Yes,
excited to see Kip in there today. He's the one.
person of the day that earns you 1 apple. You just have to go and buy it and then wash it really good before you eat it.
Make sure
Or
you
turn it into some kind of medicinal thing.
right, or spice it up.
Or just make
Yeah.
a pie.
Just make a pie.
Pie.
Or a crumble. I'm flexible.
Yeah.
Here's the question: what goes in your backpack? So we'll start with Arianna, Lauren. What goes in your backpack? What do people need? Either one physical or one metaphorical.
The first thing that came into mind is a good sharp knife. Honestly, if you could go out and, harvest any plant that's under the sun, you're going to survive for a lifetime. So if you have a good sharp knife, you can harvest anything. Knowledge comes to you, I think, with ancestral knowledge. It's within me. So hopefully other people can get in touch with that. But for me, just a good knife.
I like it. I'm into it. Jose.
And the other herbalists won't mess with you.
He's got a backpack.
Look at this. Here's my backpack right here.
You put a backpack in the backpack. It's not allowed.
Saying that's what goes in his backpack.
Section now. But inside my backpack, I want to put my own secret ingredient. And that's what you have to find out is I love the story about the truffle. The truffle is one of the most expensive food items in the world because it's very, very rare and very unique. And that's just like you. Everybody out there is super rare. You're the only one that's ever existed like you. So if you find out what your secret ingredient is, then you need to put that in your backpack everywhere you go. You need to take that into every conversation you go into, every job that you're in, every interaction with somebody else. Use your skills, use your gifts, use what you've been given to influence somebody else, and you're going to win every time. So add a little flavor and make sure it's your own.
I love it. Bring your own flavor. Wow.
Go get some salt.
Yeah, get some salt.
Buy all the things.
Quickly before they are not available again.
That's right.
Chip says to mail me the apple. Do not mail me an apple. No.
You won't get it in time. It'll be too late.
Delicious.
No,
it won't be delicious at all. When I was a kid, by the way, up in Maine, this is a true story. They had Cub Scouts and they had Boy Scouts, and they had something called Indian guides, where a whole bunch of white people got to pretend they were in tribes, and you were supposed to learn about the tribes. You were supposed to learn all this stuff. So I was a Micmac, because that's what we had nearby us, and you learned just about nothing. It was all like the Americanized American TV show version of knowledge. There was not a single indigenous person, First Nation person, whatever. There wasn't even a half of one. And so
that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know what half a person would look like.
Yeah, well, wheelchair. So they didn't. It was not a good plan. However, my parents were really into helping me, do it. And we had the gatherings at the house, and we would make our really bad version of a wigwam. And one time, my grandmother showed up, and the costume was something to talk about. I don't know if I can even say it.